Here's my draft positional board. When the 49ers drafted Renardo Green 64th overall last year, it was the highest that this administration has drafted a defensive back of any kind. And it's the highest since the Niners drafted Kwaski Tart in the top 50 back in 2015. And it's worked. Renardo Green has been one of the best cover corners in the league after 1 year of football. But there are some mock drafts out there that are suggesting the Niners take a cornerback at 11. And the question is it because they have intel or is it because they don't know how good Renardo Green is? Right now, for those of you watching on YouTube, I've got not my big board, but my positional board. And the one position, honestly, I don't spend a lot of time looking at in preparation for next week's draft is cornerback, just because it doesn't seem to me to make a lot of sense. But there are two guys, Will Johnson out of Michigan and Jahdae Barron out of Texas, that have come up quite a bit. And really, there's not a lot of guys that even project as first round cornerbacks in this draft. Now, the fact that there's going to be the report that there's going to be some shoulder issue potentially with Derek Carr. Now people are starting to mock quarterbacks to the Saints, which would be good for the 49ers because it pushes players down. But let's take a look at some of the mock drafts that have been out there and kind of further explain the point, because these are people that, you remember a few years ago when everybody, and this is not like that, when everybody was mocking Mac Jones to the 49ers. This is not like that, but there is a frequency where some of the high profile mock drafts have the 49ers taking a DB. This, by the way, was pointed out by a listener. Ethan Strauss texted me on Monday. He's like, why are there so many DBs going to the Niners at 11? Do they know something? Corners. So Mel Kiper, Mel. He mentions Renardo Green. He says Renardo Green is one of the outside starting spots, but what do the Niners do with the other? Could slot Diamador Lenore move outside? The answer to that is yes, of course. Will new signee Trey Brown earn the role and stay healthy, or could this be a golden chance to land a potential shutdown cornerback one in Johnson, who, by the way, had his pro day Wednesday, his personal, but he missed the Michigan local day. He didn't run at the combine, was dealing with a hamstring injury. And once again on Monday, in the spirit of Jerry Seinfeld, he said, I choose not to run. Okay. There were some reports that he wasn't running that fast, and that's why he didn't run. All right. So there's Mel. Then we got McShay. He's got his mock 3.0. He's got the Niners taking Will Johnson of Michigan at 11. And then we'll go to Joel Klatt, who has Jahdae Barron. And Joel acknowledges, look, he says, John Lynch can go in a lot of different directions with this pick. I like Barron a ton. Fits the Niners want to do defensively, physical, elite ability, athleticism, true competitor, exactly what Lynch is going to want. This does not feel like, to me, the most impactful way to affect the Niners defense, who needs a lot of impact. The most impactful positions are defensive edge and interior defensive lineman in terms of what the Niners need to impact. They need to impact the quarterback and they need to impact the run game. And as great as it would be to go, well, guy, what if it's Pat Surtain? Cool. I would love for it to be Patrick Surtain. But if you're going to play the what if it's Patrick Surtain game, then you have to play the, well, what if it's a top defensive tackle game? What if it's a top defensive edge game? What if it's a top offensive tackle game? All of those things are more impactful. I think there's something to this school of thought. It's got holes in it, but the basic premise being the closer you get to the quarterback, the more impactful on offense or defense. And that applies to game plans on defense, and it applies positionally. It's unlikely that this is a result of everybody knowing something. But then I think about something Tim Kawakami said the other day. He said, if you're thinking about best player available on his podcast, if you're thinking about best player available, you're not going to have the best defensive tackle. You're not going to have the best offensive tackle available at 11. You might have the best corner. The cornerback might be the highest value in theory guy. The cornerback might be the guy with the best grade at the top of your board, except he's not playing as impactful a position. And then you start, are you drafting for need or are you drafting best player available? And to me, best player available, if some guy is here and the next guy is right here, but this guy plays a premium position, then he gets a little boost. Cornerback is not a premium position in the way that tackle, defensive or offensive tackle, or even pass rusher are. Now, here's what I would not love. The idea like we got the best edge. He's a pure pass rusher. He's not a 3-down guy. I wouldn't love that at pick 11. By the way, and I think this guy might come on the show this week. My buddy, Rhett Lewis, and I know Rhett very well. I work with him on the Big Ten Network calling games. Most of you know him probably as a host on NFL Network, but he's a fantastic analyst. He played college football in Indiana. And when he gets to stretch those legs, he shows those skills. He watches a ton of tape and he talks to a lot of people. And what was interesting to me, he had, and I talked to him about this the other day, Josh Simmons at 11, the injured tackle from Ohio State. Now, I asked Jake Butt about this, and I'll be curious. I'll ask Rhett, like, is this intel? Is this projection? What is this? But I don't see it, even though I don't see the Niners doing it, I think there's something to specifically Josh Simmons and the 49ers. Would you do it at 11? Nobody's doing that at 11. That's why this mock draft from Red is really unique. But the basic idea is left tackle's a premium position. This guy, if he didn't have a patellar tear in his knee, would be a premium pick. He'd be a top 8 pick. You wouldn't be able to get him at 11. How do you get a premium tackle if you're not going to draft in the top 7 or 8? Well, you gotta pay for it. You gotta maybe win an off-season bidding battle for one, if one is even available, or maybe you got to trade a bunch of picks for one. So I think there's something inspired here. And this, to me, as crazy in some ways as it might get viewed, makes more sense than taking Will Johnson's hurt all the time. He's just not hurt. Needs surgery right now. He hasn't played a full season at Michigan. So I wouldn't be opposed to corner per se, but not a guy with an injury history, not a guy that's not a sure thing at a position where if it's not a sure thing, even if it is a sure thing, how much are we really affecting winning? To go back to the original point, I would be surprised if all of these picks are intel and not projection. But I do think we have to be very aware that guys who are very tight end when it comes to the mock draft world all have the 49ers taking a cornerback at 11. It's not John Lynch's DNA. It's not Kyle Shanahan's DNA. It's not really even the Niners. It's not. I don't think it's Parag's. I don't know what his draft, if he has a draft DNA, but I don't think it's that. Any analytics guy, I would be surprised if they value at the top corners like this. Now, you might say, wait a second. The best corner PFF graded last year was the best overall corner PFF graded last year. This one's going to hurt. Was Cooper DeJean. But he was drafted later. He wasn't drafted in the top 11. And the Niners would argue, yeah, well, Cooper DeJean, we'd love that pick, but we got Renardo Green. We took our corner later, and he was a top. I mean, let's see, Renardo, PFF has him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18th in coverage grade. I mean, that's excellent. Now, Cooper DeJean's 3rd. At this point, I'm not going to say it. People get very triggered when you talk about the end of the first round. They should have taken that guy. That's what the evidence. Now, the careers are far from over. And Ricky Pearsall can change all that this year. But anyway, I don't see the Niners going cornerback here, but I think we should be aware that Mel Kiper and Joel Klatt and Todd McShay think they could.